Hello and welcome to the Winning Post. I'm Mohit Lalvani and we're still in Singapore because, well, the rush, the fever from the SIA Cup isn't over, especially here in Singapore where Emperor Max ran second in the KrisFlyer Sprint. He did almost everything he needed to come and win it, but, well, came up against what is today the highest rated sprinter in the world. Well, we went behind the scenes and caught up with his trainer, Stephen Gray, and Emperor Max himself. In Stephen Gray's stable, we are with, well, Stephen Gray's champion, Emperor Max, and not just Stephen Gray's champion, because this is a horse that's done Singapore proud by running second in the KrisFlyer Sprint. More or less did everything that he could have possibly done, came to win it, just unfortunately came up against a horse that was just slightly better on the day. But Stephen Gray's with us, and Stephen, what an incredible moment that must have been. He's gone back-to-back in the KrisFlyer, run second time round.
Well, it was actually. It was probably this time was a better thrill because you know, everyone knows he bled his last campaign, his last run, and we've had to get him back. And yeah, so it's been a challenge. And at one stage there, when he angled out, I thought, geez, he might win it. So, you know, but of course the other horse is probably rated as the best sprinter in the world now, and he's just probably a bit too good on the day.
Now, you talked about the fact that he bled. It can't be easy, so it's a bit of an effort training a horse like this and getting them right. How nerve-wracking is it?
Oh, well, it is definitely, because you don't. It's a fine line, and he's a big horse, so we've got to work him, and it's just hard work and planning, and hopefully it comes right. And we work with the vets very closely, and they're very helpful to us. And but you know, it might have been a one-off thing, so let's hope it was, because he hasn't looked like it this time. And last time he was at the end of a preparation too, so I think now he's fresh up, and the 2 runs he's been fine, so it's been really good.
Now let's talk about his record. I mean, not many people would know this, but he's never been out of the 1, 2, 3. In fact, from 14 starts, he's won 7. Run second 6 times, and won third for over $1.1 million in prize money.
Well, that's the thing. I think he's doesn't get the credit he deserves. His first time he was here, he went right through the whole campaign, right through and running second in the KrisFlyer, and then he had another campaign and had a first and 2 seconds, and this time he's had a third and a first, and his first up in the sprint the other day, he was beating the nose, and he's obviously improved from that. So if he had one run under his belt, he would have probably just about won that, I think. So, but he's just an amazing horse, big horse, quiet. He's just a dream to train, and very sound. So, yeah, you know, and when he came, he wasn't meant to be like this, so it turned out to be this good. So I think it's probably been a really amazing dream, actually.
Well, let's talk about that dream, because like you said, when he came, you didn't think he's going to be this good. In fact, no one did. You know, I mean, at what stage did you think, I mean, what were your first reactions when you saw him, your initial reaction, and then at what stage did it all start to turn around and you looked up and said, yeah, I think I've got a good one here?
Well, he never showed much at all. When he came, he's 570 kilos, and he was woolly, and he was big, and very quiet, and I thought, I wasn't too sure really where we were at with him. But when he had his first trial, Lisa Allpress rode him in the trial, and she said, this horse is better than you think he is. And I said, you sure? I said, yep. I said, he's better than I thought he'd be a class 3 horse. And she said, yep, I'm telling you, this horse has got gears. And then he went out. I said, oh, okay, whatever. And then he went to his first race, and he just bolted in. And then he never looked back. So I think from that moment he won, and then he won his next, and I started thinking, this horse is a bit better than average, and then he got up to the grades, and we had to go at the bigger races, and I think he won his first big race, and he ran second to Zach Spirit, and then I knew we were pretty good. He only just beat us, I think, by a head that day. So if you can run second to Zach Spirit when he's like that, you know you're going pretty good. So yeah, so it just revolved really. And it's probably one of those situations that you don't expect it, and then it just keeps going and going and going, and you think, geez, you know, we've got something good here.
Yeah, you do now. He has a very special relationship with his groom as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah. Well, Uncle has been with me 15 years when I first came here, and he looks after Old Bay of Islands and looks after Max. So it's been it's been his. Look at him. He's happy as Larry. It's been his dream and makes it worth getting out of bed. So we get a great thrill out of that. And you know, Gordon and Ernest, the boys that own him, they're really good to the staff and really good to our uncle here. And he's the oldest member of the staff and does a great job. And I catch them quite often talking to each other. So, you know, to me, racing is a bit. It's got to have its stories and got to have its surprises and thrills because there's a lot of disappointments. And the whole stable get a lot of thrill out of Max, and it's been great. It's been very, very good.
You spoke of his owners now. I know Gary Crisp has him rated much higher than where he actually is right now, and rightfully so, because when you take a look at his run behind Aero Velocity, yes, he is extremely highly rated, isn't he? Now, let's talk about an international campaign, because he's pretty much achieved what he has to here in Singapore.
Yeah, it was interesting because Gary, as you know, does ratings all around the world, and you know, he's massively regarded in the racing industry and for doing that. And he said he went to another level the other day and suggested we should go to Ascot. And so I put it to the owners, and we did a bit of research, and that's maybe still on the cards a little bit, but there's a few barriers to get over. As Gary said that, you know, he can improve again, and there's the option there of going overseas. And you know, to be honest, that would be a dream for the owners and us to have that opportunity. But we just got to pick the right races and that suits him. And so there is definitely some thought going on to that at the moment.
And for his owners, they aren't just the owners; they've bred him, so that's doubly special.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They bred him, and they bred a few, and they raced the mother. And so I think that's special. It's the only horse they have here. So what that means to me, you don't have to have 20, 30 horses to have a good horse, do you? It's not so much about being numbers. You need a bit of luck, of course. The less you have, the more luck you need, because you're going to have numbers. So no, it's been really good, and they've been absolutely brilliant to train for. They were brilliant before he even started winning. So it's not that they started winning, everything gets easy. And sometimes it can get harder when they wins. And you know, we had a little bit of a drama last year with having to take Lisa Allpress off it, and it was widely publicised, and they didn't really want to do that. It was a business decision, and you know, they tried to handle it well and humbly as they could, but that wasn't an easy time for them either. And so they've been through their little bit of ups and downs, but all the time to me they've been great to train for.
The broodmare is their own, but when you take a deeper look at the pedigree, there's something quite special. He's by Holy Roman Emperor, but there's some considerable black type performance on the dam side as well.
Yeah, the mother was a stakes place mare, and you know, I think they've sold the mare now. They don't have much of the family because they wanted to get out of breeding. And yeah, you know, it's a very interesting pedigree. Actually, when we looked it up before, there's a lot of outcross, isn't it? But you know, Star Kingdom on the bottom line, and both female, and the sire, and Holy Roman Emperor has done so well in Asia. He's the next, obviously everyone wants them there, and it's interesting he's going back to Australia to stand. So, you know, maybe a bit of luck, it all worked together. I don't know whether they chose that pedigree, but they have a close association with a friend of mine over there, Sean Dingwall, who's right into his pedigrees, and maybe that's why they went there. I've never really asked them.
Now, let's come back to the KrisFlyer for a moment. You know, you said racing's all about stories, and the race itself, it was highly emotional for you.
Yeah, it was. I was probably more emotional last year because I've never had the opportunity to have a crack at something like that, and you know, we don't get a massive overinflux of horses coming to us or big owners and that. So to have a one horse owner that bred it, and to go right through to that thing, and then to run second, and in that first campaign, I was pretty proud of ourselves and our staff and the effort we put in, and to get him there. And then this year, everything just went so perfect. I knew he would improve 2 or 3 lengths from his first start, and Corey got off him and was amazed how well he went, and then said to me, well, if he improves, I can win the KrisFlyer, and we nearly did. And at the day, I was quite relaxed because I knew he was tip-top shape. And when he straightened up and halfway up the straight, I was sort of looking to the side, and everyone was screaming and yelling. I thought at one stage we might grab him, but it was great. You live for those times, because there's a lot of negative times, isn't it? And I was really thrilled. And afterwards, I was so proud of the horse, and it was like winning the race. So we all went down, all the owners and our friends all went down when he rode in second. So the winners were cheering and yelling, but we were cheering and yelling a lot harder than they were. And we had a great support by the public. It was quite amazing on the ground floor there behind the fence. There must have been 10 deep, and they were all screaming and yelling for Max. So it was good, and you see it around you, and other people have that opportunities, and when it's your turn, you got to enjoy it, because they're damn hard to get, aren't they?
That's right. And you'd mentioned something, I didn't exactly catch it at that moment because there was just so much going on. But you said it had been a tough time, I think, for the owners or someone associated with the horse coming into this one.
No, I don't think so. I think everything was all right. I just think it was a bit of pressure to get him there and get him to the race, and worrying about he might bleed again. But I think everything's went perfect. And I said to the owners before the race, but I don't like saying it, but I think he can win the race. And I don't often really say that, not in those big stuff. So no, we were very, very happy with him going into it. And it's just funny the way it panned out. Corey said I could have just about led. If I led, I reckon I might have won the race, because the good horse had a soft lead in the end, and we thought there'd be more speed. We thought the filly would go forward, and maybe some of the outside horses would go forward, but they didn't, and he ended up getting quite a soft lead. But we got a nice trip behind, and there was a bit of traffic problems behind, so it still worked out okay. But as Corey said, if he did not work like that, we could have went to the lead and got a soft lead. It might have been different too, because I still believe in him leading. He's hard to get past because he just keeps running that strong tempo. So I think everything went pretty well on the day, and it was a good relief afterwards. So.
You'd like another shot at the winner?
Yeah, of course, but he's right up there with the best. And look, to be honest, I think where we've done with Max up till now, and his form stays, I think myself and my staff and my head man Peter, who works hard on him, and Smiley, my apprentice, they do a lot of work on him, and I think we've done a damn good job. And we're very thankful to get to this stage. So whatever happens from there on would be the bonus. But I do believe next year could be even better. We'll have more time to get him ready. There's not a lot here for him, so I was keen maybe to go to Europe to give him a couple of races, because I felt that a trip away, get him back on the cool air and have a crack, I think it would be good for his brain and good for his, just how it changes horses and improves them. And I think he could come back and do very well. But the problem is that there's some good 3-year-olds around there, and young horses get younger and they keep coming through. And there's one good horse there we know that's floating around that didn't have a crack at them this year. Is a very good horse. But hey, Max keeps stepping up. And the other day was a pretty big sprint, in my opinion. He cleaned the locals up. So I think he's one of the best sprinters here for sure.
He certainly is, and we'll be watching his career with a lot of interest, and we wish you all the best with him, Stephen.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been very special, and I think we're very blessed to have the opportunity. And as I said, racing is full of so many downers, and there's a lot of other owners out there who'll be saying the same thing. They've put a lot onto it and haven't had the opportunity, and we have. And I've seen other good trainers here with good horses have the opportunity and say one day that could be us, and that's what keeps you going. And to go there and compete and know you can is very self-filling. You feel very comfortable with yourself, and you sit down at night and say, well, I couldn't have done any better, and you competed, so you're up there with as good as anyone else. So yeah, that was great. So.
And back home, I mean, something like this, you can't leave him behind the stables. He comes home, I'm sure, Bridget and the kids, I'm sure there's dinner conversation around Empromax, isn't there?
Well, my James and Katie, they watch the race. James, they both ride ponies, and you've done footage of my kids. They've grown up here, when they were born here, so they're all exciting and cheering for them. But the saddest thing, I wish I could take them to the races, and that's the issue I have. That for the next generation, how they're going to be interested if they can't go to the races. So you got our kids, and even though I had my friends there that don't even race horses that were there, and some that raced horses, we had 3-4 tables, and it was a good occasion. They were all there, and I know Gordon, especially because he lives here, has made new friends with the racing, and he's made some good friends, and it was just a big, very special occasion, one that you treasure. And we got home that night late, and our 2 kids were still up. They were still excited, and disappointing they never won, but maybe next year.
Maybe next year, and well, in our hearts he did win. Thanks very much, Stephen.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he did Singapore proud.
John, we're going to start with this year's Cup, and we're going to talk about Danik. So now, we know he had a slight setback, but we also know that he's done very well since. Then tell us about what's been going on.
Okay, after his what I call minor laser surgery back at Randwick, because when he went to Melbourne he went wrong, and then we sent him back to Sydney. I call it minor surgery, but it can have implications on the airway passage, and for that reason we left him. We spelled him after that at the owner's farm called Muskoka Farm, and then shipped him up here. So I've taken him quite slowly with respect to his the preparation, because I've had horses before that have entrapments, and so they don't go in the wind totally. You've got to be very, very patient. So that I've done with him. Every run has been an improvement. He looks really well in the coat. His weight is more than what it was last year, so you could call him that the travelling hasn't affected him. He's come here and he'll probably race about 10 pounds heavier than what he did last year. But as Tommy Berry reported to me after that Champions Mile, that he believes that the horse will be peaking on Sunday, and I was delighted to hear that.
Now, as far as you go, you began a career like this, doing an apprenticeship with your father. You've achieved everything. I mean, when we go through your credit list, it's fantastic. Take us through what you believe are some of the top 2 or 3 moments in your career so far.
Well, one of the top moments was winning the Shaheen in Dubai, and having my son as the work rider and my daughter as the groom. I don't think, I would think any trainer that becomes a family affair would not say that the family being all a part of winning an international Group 1 would top off my list of called my bucket list, you could call it.
All right, now looking ahead to this year, you've got a horse like Able Friends. You've got a lot happening for you. Look ahead for us. Half the calendar year is over. Look ahead for us. What can we expect from the John Moore stable?
Okay, well, we've only got one more group race in Hong Kong. It's called the Champions and Shaded Cup, over 1.5 miles. And, of course, you'll see Designs on Rome out. You'll see Elaine Happy Star, who won the Queen Mother last Sunday. So that race I'm looking forward to. And then after that, I've got the green light from the owner of Able Friend to travel him to participate in the Queen Anne on the 16th of June. That was probably, and taking into consideration that I'm training a horse that's top of the world ratings, the pressure's on, but I'm used to pressure. But that probably would really top off my training career. A bucket list, I like to call it, winning the Queen Anne and letting everybody, not only at Royal Ascot but the world, see a horse with just exceptional ability, adaptability, and and the fact that he that position held at the top of the Longines rating is actually well, he's made it, you know.
All right. John Moore, outside of horse racing, tell me about him. Who is he?
Well, outside racing, you know, I like to hit a golf ball and get away from the racetrack for the simple reason I don't think about racing when I'm on the golf course. But this year, as you know, in past years, is getting more intense because competition is Hong Kong has got a lot better with the influx of leading trainers from around the planet, and also that the buying, having George on board now as the bloodstock agent for more racing stables, has taken me away from the usual 2 or 3 games of golf a week to not playing at all, to really concentrating on all these newcomers, and Abel Friend was one of them. Concentrating on really nurturing them into group horses. So from that point of view, that's what my life surrounds at the present moment. It's either in the stable or it's at the yearling sales with George trying to pick another Abel Friend.
As far as your career goes, multiple derbies, multiple championships. If you had to look back, the moment that when you look back says, you know, this gave me the greatest pleasure, what would that be?
Well, you've just knocked it on the head when you said, I'm just very lucky to have been nurtured into by my father to starting off in '85, and then the fact is that I've done about everything I've really wanted to do. You know, I call it the bucket list, or you know, the training feats, and there is 1 or 2 more things that are on my agenda, and that is to win a Group 1 at Royal Ascot. And then the other one is to win a Group 1 in Australia, and that would just about complete my dream list. I'll call it that then, and then we'll probably consider retirement.
What's the secret to your success?
I think it all comes from teamwork. I've always said to the press and overseas press that I wouldn't be where I am today without the team behind me, and that goes all the way from all the staff in Hong Kong, all the agents we use for throughout the world, and not forgetting my son George, to make sure that we're selecting the right horses and staff, and in turn, you know, that makes the more stable, the number 1 stable that it is.
And finally, we've talked about your apprenticeship. What's the one lesson that you think you learned from your father that stood you in really good stead?
Don't think luck is a major part of, you know, nurturing and winning Group 1s. He always said to me, luck's not a part of it, mate. He's always said it's hard work, and you get to it and you work hard and you'll have success. Don't let people just say, oh, you're lucky, you're lucky. So that's what I always like to go into the stable or big races, thinking that, okay, there's a little bit of luck in running and that sort of thing, but there's still a lot of work to be done by the team to get the horses to the races, you know, 100% fit, and then being able to win those Group 1 races.
Dan Excel, military attack coming at him. Dan Excel in front, he's going to go back to back. Dan Excel gets it for Tommy Berry.
Well, and that's all we have on this episode of The Winning Post. Do follow me on Twitter at Mohit Lalvani. You can watch this episode again on YouTube or share it with your friends on www.youtube.com/winningpostracing. Till I see you in a week's time. Goodbye. Thank you. And as always, may the horse be with you.